You may already be experiencing symptoms of your ascendance. Thanks for joining me, you guys. And for those of you who are new to my channel, I'm Ann Tucker. I am a trance channel. I channel from the angelic realm. And that means I raise my awareness up as high as I can go, and then a little higher. I connect, and the messages start to come through. And I write them down, I transcribe them, and then I share them here with you guys on YouTube. And today's message is about how you may be feeling right now as your vibration continues to rise, as you're becoming lighter, as you're starting to move into your own ascendance, and how that might feel as we're all still kind of trapped here on this plane. And the angels go into that, and they talk a little bit about where we are in that ascendance process. So a super interesting message. I hope you enjoy it. If you want to hear more messages like this one, I bring a message every Friday. Please don't forget to subscribe. If you hit the notifications bell, then you'll be sure to know as soon as I upload. And I love hearing your comments, and I do respond to everybody. So if you leave me a comment as well, I'll be sure to get back to you. All right. Thanks, and enjoy the message. All right. So today's message, officially, thanks to you guys helping me make this choice, is about this idea that you may be feeling already the shifting and separating that's happening. And the angels have said many times that the process that we're going through of this earth rising is already in process, is already happening now. That and I mean, it certainly seems like it as we're looking around ourselves and seeing the crazy, and yes, it's climate change, but it's the flooding and the heat and the craziness that's going on, and the energy, right? It's an energy that's happening. There's more and more volatility in the world, and and it's already begun. But there's symptoms that we're experiencing that are part of this, and so the way they describe it is super interesting. So I'll go ahead and share it with you now. So here is what they say. Okay, they say, we wish to begin with our understanding of your breakage of your passion, of the lack of meaning that entices you forward. There is reluctance among many to belong to this life. Withdrawal is persistent. You do feel it difficult to be here. Many surmise that all will be as was done before, that all will still live and surrender to the circumstances that you knew. It is not so. So they're acknowledging here that as we rise, it gets harder and harder for us to just be the way that we were. That being here in the current environment can get more and more difficult in some ways. So there may be people that maybe you've experienced the feeling of sort of like maybe disengagement from what's going on in the world. Withdrawal from aspects of sort of the greater world that's out there. And they're saying that if you worry that things are just going to keep on keeping on, they're saying it's not so. They go on to say there are circumstances of arrival at comport. I have to explain this one. This paragraph is a chunky one. So I'll say it and then I'll translate it into normal human speak. I'm sorry, you guys. I'll translate it so that it's easier for us to grasp. There are circumstances of arrival at comportment and delivery upon earth that you are reimagining now, that you have embedded in the self, that draw you asunder, that pull you from here. There is not the same capture of passion and belonging that you did once perceive from whence you came. So here, what they're really saying is that before you came here to Earth, there were circumstances on your arrival, circumstances when you got here. So in your arrival at comportment, which is like how you be on the earth and your delivery upon the earth. So when you got here, that now that you're here and you're actually in the self, it's not all that it was cracked up to be when you were on the other side. When you were over there, you were looking down like, oh, it's going to be amazing. I'm going to love it. It's going to be fantastic. Let me at them. I can't wait. Once you got here, you're like, oh, this is a slog. So that's kind of what they're speaking to, that there is not the same capture of passion and belonging that you once did perceive from whence you came when you were on the other side. So basically you got here and like, this is kind of rough in some ways. It can be challenging, particularly because those of you that are drawn into this community, you guys are high vibration people and you're working on raising your vibration all the time. And it can be hard to be here on earth when you are of that frequency. It can be tough. So they go on to say, you imagined your sojourn upon the earth as one instructive, but of great interest and good fortune. You did wish to come, did plead and ask. We now instruct the self to remind you that these times before the fall are precious. to be believed, an opportunity for self-exploration and understanding. So they're kind of trying to remind us now, to kind of bring us back into that memory of how we felt about it before we got here, that we thought of being here as like, wow, this amazing opportunity, and we're going to grow and we're going to do all these things and we're going to learn more about ourselves. And they're saying, like, don't forget that in these times, even though you're feeling yourself separate more from the world out there, to not forget why you came, and that there's this opportunity now. There is still yet, and they mentioned that in one of our previous channelings, that this period where we're still kind of in this 3D karmic mindset, there's a lot of growth that can yet happen, that this is a really great place for us to grow, and it still is up until we get to this next phase. So they're saying, don't forget about that. Keep working on yourself. Keep using anything that confronts you in your life. Use it for your growth. So they go on to say, we understand it is hard to be captured between the sensation of your own uprising. Your spirit soars, your awareness develops. You have more capacity for source light, and yet remain here, ensconced in subsiding passion, longing for clarity, for belonging, for substance in the self, for the sense of wonderment that drew you here. So they're really acknowledging what we're feeling, right? Acknowledging, they're saying, hey, yeah, your spirit, you're rising. You feel the excitement of that. You feel your awareness developing. And yet you look around, you're like, what am I doing here? Like, what are all these crazy things going on in the news, and crazy, the gun violence in our country? Like, holy cow, how can you be feeling so good inside and have all that happening out there, So, all right, they go on to say, but in its place, you experience your own divergence from this place. You recognize a separation of yourself from that which surrounds. You feel disengagement on some level, the awareness that you are not like all that surrounds yourself. Not all feel what you have beginning to press forward, and belonging becomes harder still. And I love how they said that it's that what you feel beginning to press forward. It's like there's this inevitability of this aspect of yourself, this element within you, this greater, higher vibration self that's pushing out and pushing forward, pushing you forward. And they're saying like you're beginning to feel this, and not everybody feels it. So you can't harmonize with everybody now, that it becomes harder. You kind of got to find your peeps. Find the people that, that you connect with, that you can feel, that feel the same thing. They say the earth does tremor, it shakes, it awakens, but not all feel it. You do. You know that circumstances are not forever, that you are facing a transition, and fear not. The separation you are in that leaves such sense of withdrawal in the self is not long-lived. You do not need to dwell in the soul place of abandonment, of misunderstanding, of leaving and separating from what was. And by that they mean like the misunderstanding, like how can we have such a different frame of mind with people who are not feeling this? Like how you wonder, like how do they get to that conclusion? How can they see things so much from their own, their own wounds? And it creates this feeling of misunderstanding, of disengagement, of separation, of not belonging. They go on to say, this passion plays back into your mind. They say that you do not need to dwell in the soul place of abandonment, of misunderstanding, of leaving and separating from what was. This passion that they spoke about before plays back into your mind. You remember a time forlorn of being less than experienced, feeling separate. And now you begin to rise. You feel ourselves nearby, and we begin. How you begin to feel recommends the passage forward of what comes, your beginning of aspiration toward a new destination. It is a symptom of pull, a disenchantment with what is, that pulls you upward and into the becoming of what will lie beyond. So they're saying that these experiences that you're having in terms of that awareness of being different and that awareness of feeling separate from the chaos, or disenchantment with the chaos, or whatever, however it is that you're, or maybe it's a draw toward, maybe it's rather than feeling separate from, maybe it's a strong attraction towards the things that are lifting you up, and a strong attraction to other people who are on this path. So it could be showing up either way or both for you. But they're saying that experience that you're having is a symptom of the fact that this is already unfolding for us. They say, we know this well, this symptom and arrival. It does hearken to a future we know exists. Trouble yourself not that this becoming arrives not how we see it, how we perceive. Its upending reconstitution of yourselves and this life you live has already been done, and you are peeling from the layers of what has been to resonate more in tune with the coming truth of where you are become. You are arrived here now in our view of things. We see it now. It exists in reality and will permeate the layers of your becoming to instill its effect upon the plane of your awareness. So, okay, so that's a lot in that paragraph. That gets into some of the stuff, the sort of quantum aspects of spirituality, about the fact that there are these different dimensions of reality. And they're saying, hey, this truth, this shift that we're heading into, the pull that you're already feeling, however you're feeling it, however it's manifesting in your life, the pull that you're feeling towards something, they describe it as peeling ourselves from the layers of what has been. So it's literally like think of yourself as, when you look at and I had this actually come into a dream just recently, where you see two mirrors facing each other, and then you see the infinite sort of realities that unfold, right? You see like self after self after self after self in the mirror. So imagine that you are actually like that imagine that yourself has all these different layers. And they're saying that in another layer, a higher layer than than the one that we're perceiving on this plane, this truth has already happened, that this whole shift is already completed, and they're seeing it, and they're saying, hey, this reality exists right now. And that you, right here in this plane, we are just peeling ourselves away. That's the experience of peeling ourselves away from this vibration, from this resonance, from this reality of how things have been. And they're saying, and I love that description of it. And then they say that to be more in tune with the coming truth of where you are become. You are arrived here now in our view of things. We see it now. It exists in reality and will permeate the layers of your becoming to instill its effect upon the plane of your awareness. So what will happen here on this plane, the plane of awareness that we're living on, that they're saying it's already happened, and we're just sort of waiting for it to manifest here. Your feeling of separation, of unity, perhaps with a limited community of fellow beings who are united in their truth of form. The separation from what is occurs in many ways. So that's what I was saying, is that it doesn't matter how you're experiencing this. You might be feeling pushed away from some people. You might be feeling drawn towards some people. The separation from what occurs, it's happening in many ways. You feel it in how you seek ourselves and each other on planes higher than this one. You begin to find one another above the fray and folly of life, in existence of mind temporal to astral time, to connect in meaningful ways. So wow, how cool is that? So how many of you, so what they're saying here is that we are, even without being aware of it, we are already drifting above this plane in different times, that we're already seeking each other out in higher dimensions, and connecting with each other in those higher dimensions. So that could be like on the astral plane, that could be in dream time, it could be in other ways, it could be even in awakeness or in meditation. So they're saying that we are finding each other at these higher planes. So I'm curious, for those of you who've been having those experiences, not going to show up as deja vus or knowingness, or like I said, dreams, or however it's showing up for you. They go on to say, you find one another and remark upon the existence of your united selves in other dimensions. You rise unknowingly. You feel ourselves more urgently. You feel your place in community with selves sharing your journey upward, and divorce yourself from those circumstances dragging you downward. This passage, it happens to yourself. your individual self in harmony with all that is and becomes. You arrive as well. Fear not your passion subsiding. Feel instead the birth of a new way of being, and feel it rise with passion newly found in the self. So a lot in that message, and I'm psyched you guys chose that one today because it's cool. It's a really cool message, and I love that idea that you guys are out, that we are having experiences of each other on other planes already, and I think that's probably happening in a lot of different ways. I know that it's been interesting for me as I've been like it happened just the other day. I was watching a TV show about this, and as I'm watching the guy, I become super aware that he's had throat surgery of some sort, and I just know this. And I keep, as every time he comes on screen, I'm watching to like look, see if there's any scars. Like, why am I so sure that that's the case? Like, how do I know that? Because I didn't try. I didn't like go in. I didn't root around in his seventh chakra. I nothing. It just like, oh yeah, that guy has had this. It was so clear, as if it was like a mark on his face. I could just see it like with my eyes. And I was looking to see, like, was there scarring? Every time he talked, it was really distracting in the show because I kept like looking, and sure enough, he came back in a later episode, like one of those like year later type recaps. And he said, he showed that he had this major throat cancer and was actually the entire time of the show was using a feeding tube. So it's just interesting. Like, that to me is an example of that sort of meeting someone at a higher plane and saying, okay, like I actually see more of this person that is showing up, or that is normally being revealed on this plane of existence. So anyways, I'm curious what your experiences are. So please, share them. If you have interesting thoughts, if you have stuff, people showing up in your dreams, things where you're knowing more about people that you meet, or seeing people in deeper ways than you normally would, I think those are all signs. So I'd love to hear them. So please share them. Please comment and let us know. So thank you guys so much. Good morning. It's great to see all of you. And thank you. Beautiful message you're saying, and needed the message of support. Oh, I'm so glad. So thank you guys. Have a great weekend. And I will see you guys next Friday live. Bye-bye.